Welcome to The Girlfriend God, a podcast in search of and in service to the divine feminine, bringing you an equal mix of academic research and emotional spiritual experience. Please rate and review on your podcast streaming platform. Leave a comment on YouTube. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. Let's get in the flow. Welcome to The Girlfriend God. Today, I have Abigail Mensah-Bonsu. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did.
Awesome. Abigail is the founder of Moon Goddess Publishing and Moon Goddess Academy. She is a feminine leadership mentor, a goddess activator, and a multidimensional healer. She's also a best-selling author and the host of the podcast Sovereign Goddess. Abigail works with influential women creating conscious, heart-centered impact in the world. She supports them with spiritual tools to align, protect, and amplify their light, purpose, and legacy in the world. She takes women on an initiatory journey of coming home to themselves. Abigail, welcome to the show.
Oh, Kelly, thank you for having me.
So I reached out to you initially because I was introduced to you during Flora Ware's Heroine's Journey several months ago. And in your talk, there were many things that resonated with me. The light language at the end, which I do want to talk about later, like blew my socks off because you took me to a place I've not been before. I'm not sure where you took me, but I definitely went somewhere else. But in the beginning, you talked about these experiences that you had when you felt your separation from Source. And then a little bit later, you talked about, I think it was an incident where you were in a car and somebody had rear-ended you from behind and they wanted to make sure you didn't have a concussion. So they told you not to go to sleep. And they told your sister to keep waking you up. But when you did feel like you were going to fall asleep, you were like, oh, this is it. This is it. I get to go back. I get to go home. And that so resonated with me because when I was in that intensive 4-day workshop with the Heroine's Journey, I was in that place, right? Like, I have had periods where that longing, and my longing is for Goddess and for my patron deity, and that longing can sometimes become so overwhelming. It's almost a desperation, you know? So that's initially why I got in touch with you. So I would like you to speak to that, and then we'll kind of see where the conversation goes from there.
Of course. Wow. Where do I even begin with that? I guess we could just talk about the longing part, you know?
Yeah.
No, totally. I feel like most of my life, I mean, it's like, okay, any day now, the divine will have me back. I can go back home. You know, like when I was younger, I would dream, I would have these, consistent dreams of
recurring dreams.
Recurring dreams of the heavens opening up and there's a line of people and I'll get excited and run all the way to the front. And here, JC would be standing, Jesus would be standing there and be like, come on, get back. You know, you're not done. You haven't even started yet. Get your booty back there, in such a beautiful, loving way, and I would, turn around and be like, oh, okay, I'll come back. And then I'll wake up. I'm here again, and that was like my childhood. And even through that, I was doing intense work. Like when I was younger, the main gift that was online was mediumship. And so I spent most of my dream time guiding spirits back home.
Right.
and so it was intense. There's this longing of wanting to go back to where I came from. And
Right.
at the same time, I was doing this intense spiritual um, mission, I should say. It was a purpose, right, at a very young age. So, yeah, it wasn't until, let's see, probably like 26. It was, when I was in that accident, the car rear ended us, and I was like, okay, I'm sleeping, like laying in
Yeah.
bed. And I felt that separation, when you leave in your body, like it was like a sinking feeling. And I was like, oh, this is it. I get to go home. And I'm like praying that my sister will forget and will not wake me up so I can finally leave. And all of a sudden I feel a tap, 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 tap. Hey,
Uh-huh.
wake up. And I was like, God. And it was like someone just yanked me back
Right.
into my body.
Right.
And I was like,
Right.
oh, like I was
Right.
so
Right.
close. But at that point, my sister, if she would have hesitated or slept in, that would have been it. I would have left. But it's so, the beauty of it is that she knew, she could feel it. And even the way she came in, like I didn't hear her coming into my room, opening the door. All I felt was the tap, and it was like a yank back into my body. And I was like,
Right.
oh, she knew. It's like I was meant to come back. And so from that day forward, I was like, okay, divine, I'm here. I guess I'm here to stay.
Right.
I
Right.
have a purpose. I have something to do. So please help me out because I don't know where to start. Show me where I need to start. And I had this pact with the divine that if I'm going to stay here, then you're going to help me create the best life I have ever
Right.
lived.
Right. Right.
It's like, that's how it's going to be, and for me it's huge because this is my last, and I say this is my last lifetime on earth. I've been here so many times,
You know, I
so many
I
times.
have often felt that. I don't know how many times I've been here. I feel like we all get a lot. Like I've done past life, I'm a certified past life
Yes.
regression hypnotist, and I feel like like some people I think imagine that we have like 6 or 7 past lives. I don't think that's true. I think we have
Oh,
hundreds.
we,
And I think that people that
thousands.
yeah, yeah. And I think that people, sorry about that. I think that people that are very highly spiritually evolved, people like I don't like the Dalai Lama, right, have been
Yes.
here thousands of
Oh,
times,
wow.
right? Like the
Yes.
more you've been here, the more evolved you are.
Yes. Yes.
Um, but I too, I have had that sense, like this is like I'm tired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes I have wondered if that is part of why I manifested this illness in this lifetime. Because my MS
Mm,
diagnosis was strange because it's unusual for somebody to be diagnosed as late in life as I was. You know what I mean? I was in my late 30s.
gotcha.
Um, and I mean, I probably had it longer than that, but I've given that some thought, right? Like I joke around with people that believe in these things and say, you know, I must have had the body of an athlete in some other life and made a vow to say, yeah, I want to experience the exact opposite of that. Right?
Isn't it
Um,
funny how we
it
do
is.
that
It is.
in
It is.
spirit? Because
Because
it
I've
makes
looked for a
sense.
reason, because I know that there's that belief, right, that physical
Yeah.
illness comes from spiritual sickness. And I consider myself a very spiritually well person, and yet I have this persistent illness. So
Yeah.
I've
I
wondered about
know.
that. I've wondered about the ties and the roots to that. But like I said, I
Totally.
I do get that sense like I am tired and I want to be done. And sometimes that, if I allow myself to focus on that too much, I will fall into a depression, or I will be,
Mm,
you know. borderline suicidal ideation. I mean, I never seriously consider that, but it's that depth of longing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I just,
Yeah.
and because my interpretation of this source is the goddess, I just, when I'm in that space, my prayers sound very much like I just want to be with you. That
Yeah.
is all that I want. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. So there's a pivot. There's a couple of things I wanted to speak to, and then we'll
Mm-hmm.
come back to this last part.
Yeah, yeah.
With that, when our physical body manifests something, I know for me, it it's an anchor for me. It brings me like
Right,
my
right,
part of my mission on this planet, this lifetime, is about connecting my physical or the physical reality with a divine being. So being divine and being human and
right,
merging those two. And so
right,
for me, it's like bringing me present into my body so I don't leave my body, because
right,
that was
right,
the entire first part of my life where my spirit was hanging around here and my
right,
body was
right,
just doing its usual thing. So it's the anchor. It brings you into your body, so you're like, I am present here.
right.
I can feel my body. I am here. I'm having the human experience. And so for me, what merged or what brought me to this place where the longing has shifted. I don't want to say there's no longer a longing, but it has shifted in a way that the divine that I long for is within me and I feel it. So because before I was trying to escape, I always saw it as
Right, right,
away from me that I had to reach and go to.
right.
But knowing that, I remember
I mean,
this,
I do believe that she's in me. Like I know that. I get that.
and it goes beyond knowing. Like for me, it's I can feel it in every
Yeah.
cell of my being. Like when I imagine the divine, I always see like a ball of light, like
Right.
the sun, and I'm right in the center of that. There's
I
no
can get there. I
separation,
can get there
you know?
sometimes, but
Yeah, and that's
I
where I
gotta really
live.
be in the zone, you know?
Yeah, see, for me, that's where I live at this point. And so there's no
Yeah.
separation there. So I don't yearn to leave to go somewhere. I yearn to go within now. That's
Right,
the
right,
difference.
right,
Yeah, yeah. It's very, yeah, it's really cool. Like my journey to where I am right now,
right,
where before it's like my prayer is to leave. And now it's like my prayer is to just be with me, just
right,
be with myself. And it's a
right, right.
non-negotiable set, like being with myself,
Mm,
finding quiet time with myself. It's a non-negotiable. I love being with myself.
right.
Yeah.
I do most of the time. I think that part of the because that longing, I mean, that's a big umbrella topic for a lot of things that I think,
Yes.
living this human life in this meat suit with this tiny little human brain um, has a lot of challenges. Um, and I have come to believe that part of that is not just a longing to return to her. And as I said, I know that she is both within and without, right? Because she is in everything. She is in every cell in my body. When I'm really in the
Yes.
zone, I can literally feel her standing behind me with a hand on my shoulder. Um, but I also feel like I long to return to I want to be a hunter gatherer. You know what I mean? I want to
Uh,
return. Like I'm ready for her to wipe this version of us off the board and start over again, right? Because we're in that 20, what is it, 26,000 year
mm,
cycle, right? The 20 for the listeners that don't know, and maybe you can explain it better than I can. My understanding is that the 26,000 year cycle has to do uh, with the eclipse cycle. And every
mm,
26,000 years, because there's a wobble to the Earth's axis, but that happens very, 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 very slowly. And every 26,000 years, it tilts a little, and if you map it out to the stars, it makes like a circle in the sky. So at different points in
Mm,
time, we have a different North Star
interesting.
because it shifts. And so that shifts so our 26,000 year cycle started to shift in with the December eclipse in 2012. So we've
2012.
so
Yeah.
we've been in this cycle for a while. And in theory, when this 26,000 year cycle ends, we will be back to where we were. We will be back with the feminine divine. We will be back with the matriarchal, matrilineal society. We will be hunter gatherer. You know what I mean? We'll be back at that starting point.
Interesting.
So I long for that. I want to return to a time before greed and agriculture and
Mm,
innovation, and you know what I mean? I want to return to a global citizenry and a communal living, and just none of the divisiveness that we have as a result of things like agriculture and capitalism, and you know what I
yeah.
mean? All the
We are heading there. It's just not it's not what people think it might look like. We are heading there.
right, right,
Especially with this, we just started the Aquarian age, and
right,
just
right,
everything that is coming in through this, how long we're going to be in here,
right,
200 and something, is making sure that we are there. But that means that's why the past 3 years has been the most intense.
right,
And this intensity, we're still there because the old needs to crumble. The things that no longer works need to crumble and will continue to crumble. And
right,
then the visionaries need to come in and be like, this is what I've always seen. Let's create that.
right,
And
right,
so we're in this place of death and rebirth. And
right.
with Pluto being in the action, and like it just is beautiful. It's a beautiful place to be. So we are getting there, but it's not the old. It's not what we've already done. It's
Okay.
the concept in the new timeline. So higher vibration, higher consciousness, like where humanity, I mean, it's a we become an advanced civilization, kind of like most of the civilizations in the
Right, right,
galaxy. That's where we're
right.
heading to. Yeah.
So,
So
so that's what they mean when they talk about the new Earth, right?
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I was going to say something else. Oh, I was just going to tell you that, like, part of that longing, and really, over the past few years, being taught by others, who've done this kind of work for a long time, about connecting with my land and connecting with the land that you're on, because I was living in
Yes.
Pittsburgh and then I moved back here to Champaign. And so this thing happened to me. Like, I get little signs of my where I'm at spiritually, because I can't see my own progress. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, I need somebody. We always see progress in others before we see it
Of course.
in
Yeah.
ourselves, right? But I distinctly remember I had a friend pass away last year, and I was the one that I organized his funeral, right? So driving out to the funeral home is this little town like out in the country. So I'm driving through the country, and it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. The temperature is perfect. I'm in my car, the stereo's up. I'm in a good place, and I'm driving through the cornfields, and I come around the corner, and they're doing some kind of construction. I don't know if it's on the sewer or whatever, or maybe they're putting in one of the wind turbine things. I don't
Yeah.
know. But I come around the corner, so I see, this earth moving equipment and all the orange cones, and I wept. Like, I wept for the earth. That is a thing I've not done before. And I had that moment, right, where I was like, well, this is a thing I do now. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
Yes.
then
Yes.
around
Yes.
that
Yes.
same time, I started to have similar reactions to um like I always thought there was something wrong with me when I heard in the news about some tragedy in another part of the world. My reaction was always like, that happened over there. I don't know anything about that. I
Mm,
don't know anybody that's over there. So that has shifted. And like I heard about something and it wasn't far away. It was like, I don't know, Europe or England or something. I don't even remember what it was. But hearing about it, it was so tragic that I wept for humanity because it was like an act of senseless violence. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
And I never used to
yeah.
weep. Weeping for humanity and weeping for the destruction of the earth, that is new. That is new.
Mm. You
So,
know, as I'm listening to you, it's reminding me of there are two types of people. Okay,
mhm,
in this category, there's the spiritual souls. They're the souls that are tethered to spirit. They are spirit beings like myself. And they're earth people who originate from the earth. They get being human. They love being human. They're the ones that when it comes to manifesting money or creating money, it's so easy for them. Like it makes sense.
mhm,
If you're a spirit person,
mhm.
part of your mission, actually a big part of your mission is to learn how to be human, is to be
Right,
connected to your body, is to be connected to the land, to work with nature. Like it's part of it because you've mastered the other part. That part is, but it's bringing that light and anchoring into the physical
right,
body, the physical planet. You're here to assist the planet through your frequency. If you're an earth person, of course, you need to master the spiritual aspect of things. You need to lift up and connect to the light and bring the light through as well, which is all
right, right,
also helping the planet, right? Because we're all anchoring that light that we receive into the planet, which raises the frequency of the
right,
planet and everyone who lives on there.
right.
So yeah, like as you're, out and about, there's some people who are like, yeah, I rather meditate every day and,
Hmm.
be in that spirit. And then you get others like, I love being human. Like I love doing what I'm doing. And, especially in the spiritual community, I think we need to be careful because I tend to meet a lot of spiritual people who are not grounded. And it
Hmm.
doesn't benefit anyone because your light is needed on this planet and
Right,
you're not connected. And it doesn't also benefit those people because you're here to have a human experience and you're missing out on the
right,
whole thing.
right,
Right. So
right,
eventually, there's something that comes in that like pulls them into their physical reality, pulls them
right,
into their body, so they have no choice but to be present. And
right,
those experiences can be painful sometimes depending on how far you've been distanced from your physicalness, your humanness, right?
right, right,
It's whatever it takes to bring you here. So it's like, hey, this is why you're here, wake up to that and
right,
get to work.
right, right,
Where I feel like the earth people awakening to the spiritual side,
right,
is
right,
this, it is an awakening. When we hear humanity is awakening, we're talking about the earth because it's like this realization of, oh, there's more than
right,
just what I'm seeing, just what I'm smelling, just there's
right,
more than
right,
my senses. There's so much more and it's so expansive, and they
right,
tap
right.
into that. I mean, it is a powerful place to be able to merge those two and
Right,
operate from that place,
right.
But
Well,
yeah,
and I
listening to you
and I
reminded me of that.
and I think I told you when I spoke to you initially that my therapist was the one who said, it's easy to be on the spiritual mountaintop when you just hang out at home all day and chatter to your goddess and but you have to like go out in the world and be with,
Yes.
other people.
Yep.
Um, so I do that and I find that the tide is turning. I used to be, I used to be I'm like a social introvert, right? Like I'm really good in social situations, but like internally, I'm like, I just want to fucking go home. Um, so,
I'm the one who's like, I usually resist and then I
uh-huh.
go and I have a blast and then I come home and I'm like, God, I'm exhausted,
That's how my wife is. That's how my wife is.
Yeah.
She's a big resistor, but then once she gets there, she's fine,
Yep.
which is fun. And I'm usually the opposite, right? I'm like, oh, I want to go. It's going to be so much fun. And then I get there and I had way too many expectations. And then I'm like, this sucks and I don't want to be here. But in doing that, because I have to practice what I preach, right?
Yeah.
And what I often preach is it isn't just about me. It is about all of us. So my prayers have shifted to becoming more about, let me be a channel. Let me see other people as you do. Because when I'm in some kind of conflict or I'm judging people, I got to look at that and say, what is going on with me that is causing that kind of misalignment? Because I know that's not who I am, right? Like at my core, at my essential self, I am loving, generous, and kind. So when I'm walking around the grocery store, like, honey, I don't know who let you leave the house looking like that, but you know what I mean? Like, I got to look at that. If those are the thoughts I'm very aware of my inner dialogue, because I know that my inner dialogue is what's dictating the emotional landscape, and the emotional landscape is what's dictating the decisions I make and the actions that I'm taking. So like I gotta be aware, it's like I don't want to spend all of my time in there and up there and knowing and being in tune. But at the same time, I need to at least be aware so that I know what's going on. Like I gotta check in with myself. But I do find that when I'm with other people, I am in my head less and I am much more present and in the moment. Like this past Sunday, we went to a meeting for this support group that we belong to, and then we went out to dinner, and it was great. Like I had so much fun, I didn't want to come home, and that's new. That's relatively new. So
yeah,
I mean, we did come home and then like go immediately to bed, but that was fine. That was fine.
You enjoyed it, yes.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out like the work-life balance thing, right? Because, it takes a lot of work to maintain a social media presence and have a podcast and all that stuff. So, so I wanted to ask you to speak about the light language a little bit because before you had done that, I had never even heard of it before. So tell me about that and like where that came from. Like it kind of like many things in spirituality today, it kind of like it just appeared and like now it's everywhere. Because now like if you Google it or you look for it in a podcast or whatever, it's very easy to find. But until that moment that you talked about it and then did it, I'd never heard of it before. So
I feel like it's always been around. It's just a matter of if humanity was ready to, because it is a big deal. For me, my being able to speak light language came online about 2 years ago. And at the point in my life where I thought I knew all my gifts were online, they're here, like I'm good. And then it's like, nope, there's another gift that wants to come out. Before then, I would doodle light language or light symbols. And so I would draw them. I would, like that was how it would come through. I just didn't know it was a language, a light language. And when I should go back and explain what a light language is. It's basically the language of the heart, the language of the soul. So it bypasses the mind. It's not. That's why when I speak it, your mind is like, what the. I don't know what you just said, but if you tune into your heart, you're like, I know exactly what I'm receiving right now. It really bypasses the mind and it takes you right to the core truth, the core of who you are, which is your infinite self, your divine self, your ultimate love self. And so it requires the channel to be in her heart. So it requires me to be in my heart. I cannot speak light language or draw or write light language if I am not in my heart. It will not come out. It's like a block. Yeah, so it requires me to be in the heart and then just open up that channel and let it through using sound. And it's a frequency more than a language like we're speaking. When I speak it, you will feel it. The way and I explained it in there, it's like receiving a zip file, right, of everything that you need.
Right.
Yeah, and then throughout time, it kind of opens. It's like, okay, this time you need a little bit of this, you need this. So it opens up to give you what you need throughout the time. It is massive what comes through. It's not something that I can even be like, okay, this language is for this, because there's so much that pours through, you know, to give to the person on the other side or the group on the other side who are receiving
any kind of channeling, like even mediums do the same thing, right? Like part of the equation is the person that's receiving the message. Right?
It's different avenues, I should put it. Different avenues, because light language, it's like, let me see if I could put this in words. You know how I was talking about the beginning, when I imagine the divine, I'm like right in the center of the divine. Is operating from that center, that source point. That's where you go. And so you're receiving on undiluted, like just pure frequency pouring through you. Yeah, that's like the best way to put it in words.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me know if that makes sense. But what comes through is truly beyond you. You have no control over it. It's just not like I'm trying to speak something or make it sound. It's like you have no control over what wants to come through. Now, light language, you know, there's an aspect of it that people know the most, and that's speaking in tongues. People know that part, but they didn't know that that's also light language. It's just, you know, again, it's different.
That's been around for, is that an ancient practice?
It's the same thing. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, for a long time. But as we go through the different times and the frequency of the planet rises up, that's where it changes the frequency of what is coming through. So tongues, if you really listen to someone speaking tongues, is dense, is deep, is like earth. You know, it's like, it reminds me of like a mountain, right? Yeah. When you hear light language, it's a higher frequency. So it's like being on top of the mountain, like being on top of Everest, being closer to the stars, actually being in the stars. So it tells us where we are, you know, in our evolution on this planet. So more and more light language are coming through, because first of all, the channels of the light language are accepting the emission and their role to be the anchors of light on this planet, understanding that we are the pillars of light. We're sending our roots into the earth, and we are anchoring our light into the earth. And then also humanity is ready for such a high frequency without, you know, your brain exploding, like what is happening, you know, or without the shock of awakening. We are there. We're ready to receive that undiluted, pure essence of source. That's exactly what light language is. So when you receive it on the other end, it's like, I mean, you're like, where did you take me? And in my mind, I was like, I didn't take you anywhere. Your soul took you somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's like, when you're on the receiving end, again, it drops you right into your heart, you know, and hopefully whoever is the channel about to share with you guides you into your heart first. And through there, you're able to receive, and you will feel it. For example, if it is a healing, you will feel the light language penetrate, or the frequency go to that area of your body that needs the healing. If it is you go into, you know, like a past life or a future life to see something, it will take you there. If it is you, like, it's like whatever you need, that's what you receive, right? It's like, I can't control. Yeah, I can't say, hey, I'm gonna speak this light language to, you know, to, I don't know, give me an example, a specific example, to turn on your, I don't know. It's kind of hard, you know, something specific. You know, I can say, receive this light language to go into your heart, or as a blessing, or to activate your DNA, because it does exactly that. Right. So, yeah, it's very fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, past life regression is the same, right? It's the soul that leads the journey. I'm just your guide, right? And I tell people that because some people are worried because they've never been hypnotized before and they don't know what it's going to be like, or they have this expectation of hypnotism based on things they've seen in movies and TV, and it's not like that at all. And I tell them, they're like, well, what if I don't want to know? What if there's something really bad? And I say, your soul is not going to take you any place you're not ready to go.
Exactly.
So, and
I think
whatever information you garner and whatever you see is going to be useful to you. You might not know how exactly right away, but without fail, in the coming weeks and months, these people, they always come back to me and say, that thing that didn't make sense when I came back from that place, now it makes sense because such and such happened, you know?
Exactly. I remember when I first started doing, I'm going to call it just regressions. But at that time, you know, it was like past life regressions everywhere, you know, that was what was known.
Right.
And I realized that when I would lead my clients, it was like a journey. They will start in a past life, they will go through a healing, and then they will move into a future life, and then you know, kind of recreate or whatever they needed to receive from there, and then they'll come back to the present, or sometimes they will even go all the way to the beginning, the origins, and explore who they are there. And it was like this continuum that happened as I did that, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much more to this. This is not just past life, you know. So that it is such a powerful tool to help people remember who they are. Yeah, it is so powerful. Yeah.
What was I going to ask you? So it is the girlfriend god. So let's talk about goddesses and where that plays into this whole landscape of the spirituality that is. I think that I can't remember if we talked about this or not, but well, first of all, actually, I'm going to pause for a minute because I have to pee. So, and I will edit this out, but I will be right back.
Go do your thing.
I will be right back.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. So first, like, do you have a favorite goddess? Do you have like a
favorite goddess?
That's
a
deity, what have you?
That's an interesting question. So, the goddess that, oh man, it's not even just one. It's a tribe of them, and I call them the what do I call them? The Sisterhood of the Rose. And so that includes beloved Isis, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Green Tara. It's a whole sisterhood of them, and they've been with me since the beginning. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, like I know in terms of my mission, again, it's like connected to the Sisterhood of the Rose, but particularly Mary Magdalene. That's who my lineage, my spiritual lineage is connected to. And even going further is anchored into beloved Isis. So yeah, it's always when I get that question, who's your favorite goddess? I'm like, I have a tribe of them, but also the way I perceive the goddess might be different from how others do. When I tune into the goddess energy or the collective, it is one energy, just like how I experience source. And then, you know, Mary Magdalene, Isis, they're all emanations from that source. And they have particular purpose. So when I'm working from that goddess energy, when I'm doing activations, is going straight to the source. But if I'm bringing through particular, like awakening particular codons or purpose or mission, then I can bring it down to the particular emanation of the goddess. So that could be Mary Magdalene, that could be Mother Mary. Then we can go, there's like, okay, it's Mother Mary because here's your purpose. This is why, go explore it, you know. But yeah, my tribe is the Sisterhood of the Goddess. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
Sisterhood of the Rose. Oh my God. The Sisterhood of the Goddess. Sisterhood of the
Rose.
See?
Right. Same diff. Same diff. Well, and you and I talked about that before, and I've talked on the show about it before, my whole diamond head god theory, and that, yes, I believe in all these different deities, spirits, ancestors, whatever, but that all of those things come from a singular source.
Yes.
And she is like the OG goddess, right?
Yep.
Like the creatrix of everything.
Yes.
The one without a second, the one without a mate or a consort or anything like that. The creator.
Yep.
I look at her as my
The
creator.
creator. Yep.
But I also come from, I mean, my personal spiritual journey is one of devotion and asking for inspiration and direction and relief when I'm in pain or in struggle. And one of the attributes that, because part of my spiritual process, I think part of anybody's spiritual process is, addressing things within myself that I found objectionable. It doesn't matter if other people find them objectionable. No one will ever change anything about themselves based on what somebody else says, right? You will only change if it becomes objectionable to you. To you. But I can't do that of and by myself. If I could, I would have done it a long time ago. You know what I mean? So I need help with things like that. And I find that's so in terms of spiritual transformation, right? Because that's what you do with the people that you work with, right? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you actually do for the people that hire you to help them. What do you do for them?
Basically, I expose them to who they are spiritually. So I bring that in my bio, I said I take them on an initiatory journey back to themselves. Mm-hmm. I bring them back to the truth, that core truth of who they are. And I also introduce them to the spiritual realm and the support they have in there. And I teach them the tools. So for example, DNA activation, or like one of my simplest things that I teach all my clients, like beginning, everyone needs this. It's like the protection mechanism that we have. So creating these bubbles of light that are anchored into heaven and earth around you to support you through your work. It's the women that I work with. They are, they're creating big impact out there. And most likely they get to a point where it's either they're depending too much on their energy because they feel like that's all there is. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of stalls them, or because they have put their spiritual side or their spiritual work to the side and focus more on the physical, which they've been very successful in. They reach a point where it's like, oh, it's not working anymore. My formula is not working anymore. What is going on? I've tried everything. It's not working. It's like, have you connected to your higher self? Have you talked to your higher self? Have you talked to your divine team, or what I call the divine posse, which includes your angels, your spirit guides, your ancestors? So I expose them to this world that allows them to really tap into their infinite nature, which when they do and they step out in the world, I mean, seriously, I'm like in awe of what these women are capable of or doing in the world from that place. And so that's where I come in. It's like, okay, you've mastered the physical. Let's do the spiritual, because that's the big missing puzzle there before you can move forward. Like you've done well.
For so many people.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
It is.
And in this society,
so many people, it's
in this society, I think we've held high the physical success. And so we think that's all there is. And then they reach a point, it's like, oh, making multiple 7 figures is not doing it. I'm still feeling like I'm missing something, but I have no clue. I have everything I need, and even beyond. And I still feel like something's missing within me. And so I come in. It's like, okay, well, let's anchor your higher self in. This is who you are, you know. And
right,
they're like, you know, and then they begin to incorporate rituals and invocations and prayers to merge those two worlds and really anchor their light right here. And that's where they begin to create magic in their world and also in the bigger world. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like when we are born into this physical body, right, we all experience that separation, but we don't remember it.
Yeah.
So we spend our lives trying to remember.
Yep.
Right. Right. Yeah, I told this story on Instagram. I don't know if you saw it or not, so I'll retell it now. I heard the story a long time ago, and because I'm a fan of source material, I tried to find its origin, but I couldn't. But I heard this story about this couple. They had a baby, and they also had like a 6-year-old son. And the baby was a girl. And when they brought the baby home for like the first however many weeks, the boy, the 6-year-old, kept insisting he wanted to be alone with the baby. And they were like, no, not happening, right? But he was so insistent about it and so sincere in his desire that they finally agreed to do it. And, you know, so they put protections in place. They've got the baby monitors, right? The baby monitor in one room, and they've got the other baby monitor in the other room, and they're, you know, ready like the SWAT team in case they need to burst through the door because he's 6 and they don't know if he's a serial killer yet. And as the baby approaches the crib, at first they can't hear what he's saying. And then when they listen really closely, they can hear him. And at first he's saying things, you know, like he's telling his baby sister how much he loves her and that he's going to protect her when she grows up and blah, blah, blah. But then he says to her, help me. I'm starting to forget God.
Oh my God. I have
help me. I'm starting to forget God. I know. That's an amazing story. That's why I retell it, right? And I think that is how it is for us. That we are one with our Creator. Then, you know, we come through the womb canal and splat, here we are. And all of a sudden, and we start to forget. I think we do still remember when we're infants and we're still in the crib. I think
we're still connected.
We're still dreaming of that.
Yep.
I also like to think that, you know, before we're born, after that initial life, when we're in the in-between place, right? You know, the transition place between one life and the next. Because I do think there's a transitionatory period. Yes. And I think at some point we like, I don't know, we reach a level where we get to decide if we want to come back into another life or go do something else, like go be somebody's spirit guide.
It's all dependent on what the soul wants to experience to advance. Right.
But I think, you know, in that first life, I think we are also given at least some rudimentary instructions by the angels. And I have this vision in my head of the angels being like, okay, so here's the stuff you're made of, and here's the stuff about your Creator, and these are the things you're going to experience in this life. And, you know, and then they push you over a cliff and they're like, oh, and you're not going to remember any of this. Bye.
No pushing there. Usually we're going willingly. We're like, yes, we're doing it.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. You're not gonna remember any of this. Bye.
Exactly. You said they push you off the cliff. By the way, that's hilarious. But you know that I wanted to go back to that story. It's so freaking powerful. Here's the thing: there's been a change in that because the generations, with like my son, Like these kids come in knowing they're not forgetting. This is where we've reached. We've reached a point in our consciousness as a whole that we have souls coming in who know who they are, who know their soul gifts, who will never forget that connection. And because of this, the parents of these kids are invited or maybe even challenged to step it up, because otherwise, if we don't know how to support them, we're gonna make them just like we experienced where we didn't have the support, so we have to shut it down. And then eventually, as we're growing, we met someone who helped us to open it or be like, hey, you're not weird, it's actually normal.
Right.
And that's where we are. It's like, my son has me and his dad, and we get it, and we can truly hold the space for him to be all that he knows himself to. Like, that's mind-blowing, and so this is where we are right now. But if you look, like, our generation and going back, we didn't have that. It's part of coming down the birth canal. It's like I'm seeing this like from my experience coming out, because I remember that, like, like it's almost like you have the feeling, and it begins to fade slowly, and that's where the fear comes in. That's where, like, for me, I felt really cold. The further away I got from my origin, and it was like freezing cold, and then I dropped in, and I was like, nope, I don't want to be here. Like, why did I leave? But as I was coming down, like I was talking before, it's like your soul knows, why you're coming down. You're excited. You made the entire plan. You know who you're going to connect to at one point. You know what you hit. Like, all of that is clear. And then you start to come down, and you start to really experience what you knew already. And like, I don't know about this. Like, wait. It's like, wait. Or there's some that will come down. But again, it is part of the human experience for our generation, not my son's generation and moving forward, that it was part of our journey to remember. That was just part of it. And, my son's generation is like, oh, I remember. I'm here to help you remember, whether you like it or not, because you should have remembered by now, but also to raise, to truly help us create that new earth, or that vision of this way of living that is just supportive to the human soul and heart. So their job, it blows my mind. Like, their generation, when I tap into their collective and their mission, like, it's unlike anything that we've experienced on this planet. And it is beautiful, because it means that we've done the work to be able to create a foundation for them to come in. It's just, like, I get so excited when I talk about this.
And I do feel like our generation, and perhaps the millennials, the generation after us, like the message from the universe is clear. Like, having a spiritual life is kind of like, it's where it's at, and like, get on board or get out of the way. That's where our division comes from. But part of that comes from being willing to connect with other people, and I see that too. I see that in our generation, and this was part of the gift of the pandemic, right? Like, people coming to the realization that the relationships that we have, for so long, our generation had the faulty core belief, right, that the romantic partner relationship was the most important relationship. And although it is an important relationship, the relationships that we make with each other and our platonic friendships, particularly among women, is paramount. And I know women, especially women who were part of, the drive for success in corporate culture and did well financially and whatever, are now, in their late 40s, early 50s, going, I had no idea it was so important, but now I do. And they're finding each other. And it's exciting to me to think, I was talking to a friend the other day, about, that it's like there are these pockets of sisterhood connections cropping up all over the place, and eventually that's going to grow and it's going to be like this global sisterhood. And that's so exciting to me because maybe it's because I'm a lesbian, maybe not. I mean, I really fucking love women. I mean, I do. I love women.
We are incredible beings.
Not just like that, but right.
Yes.
Women are. We are
totally
incredible.
Get it.
And we are powerful beyond measure.
Yes.
And
we really are.
We are when we're connected and when we remember, we are the goddess incarnate because she lives in all of us, and I know, like, I have a patron deity because I need that, like, personal one-on-one connection.
Yes.
Like I need the Ellen pillow to lay down with when I take my midday nap, but not everybody needs that, you know what I mean? So I get that. And not everybody has to do what I do, certainly. But yeah, so I'm going to ask you one more thing. And then I think we can probably wrap it up. Right? Or not?
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk to you for like 2 hours.
Oh yeah, we can talk for.
I'm sure that we'll talk again.
Yes, please, let's do. There's more.
Yes. What I'd really like to do is in the third season, and I always record it in advance, or I try to.
Yes.
In the third season, I want to start having some panel discussions.
Yes.
Because part of my niche has been this combination of academic research and emotional spiritual experience. Yeah. And I feel like the first season was very heavy on the academic research, and the second season has been very heavy on the emotional spiritual experience. So I think the third season should be 3 or 4 panel guests that representative of both sides, right?
Yes.
I feel like I bring both because I was an academic.
Yes.
Right. And now I don't work at all. So
so like you're able to, yeah.
So I'm all about the, receiving inspiration and unverified personal gnosis, but I also really like my source material.
Yes.
And research when it's applicable.
I love it. Yes. I love that
like
so much.
If there was some ancient ritual to Artemis, I want to know how they did it then.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to just make this shit up. You know what I mean? I don't know what I'm conjuring, what I'm talking to,
Yes.
How did they do it? I call up Carla. Carla, how did they do it? How did they do it 20,000 years ago? Tell me how they did it. I want to do it that way.
I love that. Yes.
But yes, I'm also, spiritual.
That's where we need to be. We need to bring it together.
So
yeah, we need to bring it all together and stop separating it. It's okay to be logical and spiritual. It's okay to love your mind and love your heart, and it's okay to love being human and also love being spiritual. It's okay to be spiritual and rich. It's okay. And so we're getting more and more, like more and more people are waking up to, oh, I don't have to separate those. I'm okay. I'm not alone too, so yeah.
And I think more people I think more people are waking up to, it doesn't have to be such a struggle.
Exactly. Oh my God, that's big.
Yeah.
Big. I was just thinking about that this morning. I was thinking about doing a Facebook Live, and that was the topic, is like, what if it's not supposed to be hard, but we think that it's supposed to be challenging and hard because it's part of our lessons or whatever. But because I know my guides, my higher self, actually, it was, I don't know, I was going through something and my higher self was like, what if you're not supposed to have a hard life like you think? And that took me aback. I was like, what? I thought that was part of the human journey, to suffer. And my higher self was like, You've been there, done there. Like, you've done it. Like, what if this is not the lifetime to suffer? So I had to begin to break that down, like let go of, begin to heal and release. Like, I don't need to suffer. I don't need to suffer. Yeah.
Well, and I think all of that is the human condition too, right?
Yes.
Is to just unlearn the things that have been instilled in us in our generation culturally, right? Like, you have to be competitive, you have to fight your way to the top, you have to work hard and struggle and suffer in order to be rewarded. The system of punishment and reward in our religion, they, just all of that. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of time to do that unlearning process. And I don't think I could have done that unlearning without her.
Yep, exactly.
I couldn't have done it by myself. Even by myself, my brain is not always, sometimes it's a dangerous place and I shouldn't go in there alone.
Whew, I hear you.
So sometimes I have to just like surrender that and get out of my head and into my body and be present and just say, I don't know what to do. Help me. But that prayer is only effective when I have absolute faith that prayer will be answered, that she will guide me. And I have that today. I know with every fiber of my being that what I ask will be given. I might not know when or how that's going to show up, but I know it's going to show up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the form of some person, place, thing, article, song on the radio. You know what I mean? It's going to appear. So I have to be present so that I can pay attention. Otherwise, I will miss her speaking to me.
Yeah.
Right? I will miss that. I will miss it. I heard someone say not that long ago, he used different words, but it's really just semantics. And he said, God's grace is in direct proportion to our acknowledgement of it. And I thought, that is true. And for a while now, I've been saying, I say thank you for fucking everything.
Yes.
I get that parking spot and I'm like, thanks, goddess. You know what I mean? Just the littlest things, because that also keeps me present, right? In my physical body to pay attention to those things. So
exactly.
Yeah.
You had a question to ask me.
I did, and I've already forgotten.
Before we dove into
forgotten what it was. I've already. It's all right. It wasn't that important. We went here instead. It's fine.
Yes.
It is. It's fine.
It's so delicious.
So, Abigail, I ask all of my guests the same 3 questions at the end of every show. If you've listened to an episode, you already know what they are. If you haven't listened to an episode, this is a surprise. Is it a surprise?
Well, I like to not, because I want it to flow. I want what needs to come through. So I like to not listen to that part.
Okay, good.
So that when I receive it, it's just like, okay, the true authentic answer will flow through, instead of me trying to, this is what I should say. And, coming up with the answer ahead of time. Yes.
And you already knew that was very much like that's this show, right? That's like that. This is its whole thing, right?
Yep.
Okay. So first question, tell me a fun fact about you, which doesn't have to be fun, but tell me something about you that people who know you would be surprised to learn.
Oh, interesting. Because I just did a Facebook Live about this. Exactly this question. Okay. I am, most people tend to see me as, oh, she's all, goddess energies, all about goddess, all feminine. That's where she operates. And what usually surprises them is also how logical I am. I mean, I'm a Virgo, just like you were talking about, like the research, like knowing the origin, like I love those. I love my mind as much as I love my heart. I love my logical self as much as I love my spiritual self. Yeah.
I've never heard it put that way. I'm going to start saying that.
I love it because it's a beautiful balance. The way I explain it is like, oh, and I also say I love my feminine as much as I love my masculine. They're both within me. You know, the divine feminine allows me to receive the seeds and the vision, the big vision. But without my masculine side, it would just stay that way. My masculine side is like, here's the plan. Let's put it forward. Let's move. So it allows me to go forth and create it. So I cannot choose one over the other. I love both of them because they're meant to work together. So yes, I am as logical as I am spiritual.
Okay. So the second question, current favorite television series or movie.
Oh, let's see here. Oh man, let's see here. I have so many.
That there's so much good TV on right now.
Oh my God. Okay, so I love Korean, what is it called? Like Korean shows. And I just finished a series called The Alchemy of Souls. It was so good.
Okay.
Oh my God. So yeah, it's called Alchemy of Souls. It's just, oh my God. I was like, no, don't let it end. I want more.
Is it on Netflix?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay. Is it anime?
No, it's what do you call it? Live? Like people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like live action.
Is that what they call it?
Like a reality show?
No, so it's not anime, it's not animation. It's like real people acting.
Okay.
Yeah. That's just
it's just a regular show. I don't know why I was trying to turn it into something it's not.
But it's like fantasy, so it's very beautiful. The colors, that culture in general is beautiful. So that you can really feel and be in the essence. It's just such a beautiful production in general, and it's powerful. Like I love spiritual kind of shows, this one is like, whoo, you'll love it. Check it out.
All right, good. This is where I ask us this because I'm just looking for recommendations, really. Because we watch a shameful amount of television.
It's okay.
Yeah, it is okay. It is okay.
Yes.
Took me years for that to be okay, but it is. It really is okay.
I find so much inspiration. Me
too.
It's really, me too. I've watched so many shows and movies, and I'm like, especially with the way we think and how we're connected, we see more than what is being presented. We can really tune into the story and like see through it. It's a different experience,
Right.
Yeah. So I got you, sister. I get it.
And being a very visual person, since there's so much good TV that has high production value, like I'm really into the cinematography of what we watch, and like I'm always like on my phone, like looking up where it was filmed.
Yeah.
It has really beautiful landscapes and So
like Lord of the Rings, I can't get enough of that landscape. Yeah. And also, what is that? Why am I The Witcher.
Yeah.
The Witcher. I love that show. I relate so much to him, just being the bridge between the two worlds. Like,
yes.
Yeah, I have chills.
Okay. And final question. If your life were a movie, what would be the theme song to the soundtrack of your life?
That's a hard one.
I know.
That's a hard one. Interesting.
I've had all kinds of different answers. Surprise me. Or give me something I've never heard of. That happens a lot. And it has to, it's representative of like your whole life, or at least your whole life up to this moment.
See, that's what makes it hard.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can find one song that can represent my whole life, even now where I am.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, just try.
Oh my God, it's so hard. What good song? This is the hardest question ever.
So some of the answers I've been given in the past were Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive. Kendall, one of my part-time co-hosts, hers is the Imperial Death March.
Oh my God.
Carla's was, I think, like a Miley Cyrus song or something.
I'm trying to. It's a classical music. I'm trying to figure out the name. Oh my gosh, where is it? I'm like looking on my Spotify list right now. Oh.
I look at you and I think of, what is it called? The Carmen. Okay, now I'm looking on Spotify.
That's a good question. Now I'm gonna be like looking on my playlist, being like, what represents my entire life? Because I do a playlist every year. Like as I'm moving through the years, the songs that move me or stand out I'll add it to my playlist. Yeah, but I haven't looked at one song that covers my entire life. You gave me an assignment.
I'm gonna see if I can find it. I was thinking of this song.
Wait, is it really? It's like they used it in a lot of good movies like that. Yes, no, I love that. Oh my God, thank you. I love that.
But that's not the one you were thinking of.
Yeah, but this one is powerful. Like I saw myself like just walking like in this slow motion and fire behind me, I love it.
So the Carmen Burana, which I believe, well, obviously it's been in a bunch of movie soundtracks, but
yes.
Turn that off. Hang on.
It just makes you feel powerful. Just like,
really does. It really does. Because usually when it's in the soundtrack for a movie, it's either right at the brink of apocalyptic extinction, or at the successful culmination of something. So
yes, it's also like an awakening, like this rising up.
Like when you listen to the whole song from the beginning to end, there's a big build-up.
Exactly. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yes.
Oh, that does sound like your life. A big, slow build-up to this huge crescendo at the end when this life or last life is done. Can I have it too? Can I use it too?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
Yes, you may.
I love asking people these questions. Like I said, I've had people say songs and I'm like, okay, because which is obviously my reaction.
See, this is why I'm glad I didn't memorize it, because then I would have memorized an answer and it wouldn't have been like this good,
Right.
Spontaneous, yes.
All right, Abigail. Well, I'm gonna end abruptly, and when we're done, I'm gonna hit end, and the screen's just gonna go blank, and I'm gonna hang up on you. I know it's always very jarring to people. They're like, "What just happened?" So give you fair warning. I'm sure that I will talk to you, and I will have you back on the show, hopefully in the third season. Like I said, I'll do some of those panel ones, but unbeknownst to you, once you've been on the show, then you automatically are initiated into my sisterhood. So now you're kind of now you're kind of stuck with me, and you're part of the, Team Kelly support network when I have existential crises. You are now someone who I will call and be like, you got to bring me back, because I'm like off way in Danger Bay, like danger, Will Robinson, I'm in crisis, and you got to reel me in.
I love that. But yes, thank you so much. It's been really
great, and
exciting.
It's fun, and I was really excited to have you on the show. I told you you were the first guest to like want to meet with me beforehand and like check out my vibe. I'm surprised more people don't do that. But I get that, because my wife was like, why does she want to meet with you beforehand? People don't usually do that. I'm like,
that's interesting.
I think she just wants to, see if we vibe. And I said, and I don't blame her either. I should do that. But I've had such good luck with the people I've asked. Yeah, right? Like the right people have come at the right time. So
yes.
I know if somewhere down the road I have a bad experience, maybe I'll start doing that. But so far it's been
you do your thing. I'm used to most of the podcasts that I've been on are like that, where we connect first. But again, it's just like some of them we just hit it off. So we'll just do like a messenger thing with our voice, and we hit it off and we just meet. But we still do some kind of introduction thing where we feel each other, and then we move into it. So I was like, oh well, so that was new to me as it was to you.
Right.
It's like she's not asking to meet first.
Yeah, I just, I trust my goddess. I trust she's bringing me the right people. So
I love that.
So thank you.
And let me know. Yeah, let me know when it's live so I can promote it.
Okay. Of course I will. Yeah, I'll send you a copy of the video and all that stuff. And just for our listeners, Abigail, everything, all of your contact information and your website and where people can find you online, all of that is in the show notes, both on all the audio podcast sites and on YouTube. And so thank you again. And may the peace and the love of the goddess be with you.
And to you as well, sister.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Bye.
Thanks for watching or listening. If you want more of The Girlfriend God, you can find The Girlfriend God and The Girlfriend God podcast on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. The Girlfriend